got it. You know what? You want to know the story why I got this? I was watching Palladia one night, and Lou Reed was on there doing the entire Berlin album, and he was doing it in New York in some avant-garde place, like a couple of years ago, obviously, when he was still alive. And the guitar player was a bloke called Steve. Oh, man. Steve. What's his bloody name? The one who played with what's his name?
See if you're a vegan.
Alice Cooper. Steve Hunter, thank you. God, I was dying then. They had like close-ups, and he had a red one. This was actually red originally, and I was staring at it. I'm like, what is that guitar with him? They're called Crescent Moon inlays, you know. And I don't know why I got obsessed with it, but I tracked him down. Right, I don't know him from Adam. I don't know anyone knows him, but I kind of tracked him down through a website or something, and then I eventually got his number once he found out I wasn't some lunatic. And I said, "Where's that guitar that you got? I'm obsessed with that guitar. I want to buy it off you." He said, "I just sold it to one of my best buddies." I said, "How much did you sell it for?" He's like, $3,000. I'm like, "You idiot, I would have given you $5,000 for that." Anyway, so I looked for one, because that one had gone. So when I found one on eBay, and I bought it and painted it.
All right.
And here we are. Was that a long, boring story for nothing?
No, I think those kind of stories, that would be something that I would talk about. Like, you know, it's a Gibson SG, and what do you think is they're best known for? Like, what is the sound that you would say an SG gives you?
An SG was really a continuation of a Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I was going to play chunk, 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 you know, thick rock, I would actually probably use a Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
These are similar. You know, the neck's a little different, and I like them. I just like them. I'm lucky enough to be able to purchase a few guitars. I don't just have to get one. But if I had to get one guitar, and I wanted to play rock and roll, it would be a Les Paul Custom.
Right.
That would be the guitar I would go to every time.
But if you don't have a lot of money, so talk about, like, you know, like, so for kids, like right now, like, to me, a cool sound is an SG overdrive, not with distortion, not, you know, just cranking up the amp and getting that natural distortion, because that to me is what an SG is really good with, that the chunk you're talking about. But it's a clear chunk, chunk, chunk. So, but if you don't have a lot of money, you're, you know, 16 years old, you don't have a lot of money, what would you get?
Well, I'd go and steal one. That's the ultimate in rock and roll behavior, isn't it?
You're not being a very good influence right now.
Or hang out on Santa Monica Boulevard. I don't know. Save it.
Well, I think kids right now, if you're listening, SG is a great guitar for like full on, you know, the rock experience.
Well, this is the sound you're talking about.
Yeah, just drive it up. Well, that's a pre-amp on it, right? But now give them the lower fi version, lower, and just hearing the clean. There's, because SGs have a pretty decent clean vibe as well. You went too low. Yeah, but I think they're pretty versatile guitars myself, because you can get the warmth and you can get that clean chunk. See? Like this. They do make copy SGs that, you know, they're worth checking out. I don't know if Epiphone. I think Epiphone does some, I think, copies. Yeah. But anyways, I think there's some guitars out there that you can get pretty cheap. And I think that's important for kids to know too, that sometimes You know, it's just more about the playing. Like, you gotta be a good player. You know, you can't.
You got to learn on something.
Yeah, you gotta learn on something, but you also have to play. And some people will ask, well, how do you get that cool drum sound? I'm like, well, it's the player.
Yeah.
Like, you know, without the player, the drum sound is gonna sound like poop.
But a lot of kids will never make it
Almost,
because they
yeah.
don't have the.
No.
There's only a small percentage of people who have the real talent. But then the other factors have to come with it.
Yeah.
Timing, being in the right place at the right time, not being an ass. Well, being an ass is okay, but you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of things. But what are you talking about? To go on to make it or just be a good musician? What are you pushing for?
Well, you know what,
that whole
I guess,
thing about making it is
yeah,
that's all it is these days.
That is skewed, isn't it? It's like, what are we aiming for? I mean, I was aiming for the big rock, you know, the contract, you know,
Yeah.
and all that,
Sure.
and to go on tour and get on the bus and fly first class, buy my mom a home, and, you know, all the things that, you know, you read Cream magazine and Rolling Stone, you know, that's all the dream, the rock and roll fantasy, but there is no picture of it right now. What is it? To get on YouTube, to get on followers, to get to where are we going? What are we trying to go?
That's what young people are looking.
Yeah,
how you were looking at
exactly.
to get on the tour bus and all the rest of it. Now young kids are doing the same thing,
Yeah.
but it's about getting on YouTube.
You know, I was just reading this, you know, in Us magazine where, you know, whatever this magazine is, where, and this is a truth, like, where you can have someone like Gwen Stefani, who, you know, in my book is one of the most nicest people, very humble, very sweet woman, very talented, and she can't sell out. Like, they're talking about maybe possibly, you know, canceling her tour because 90% of her tour isn't sold out. It's like when the big artists themselves can't do it, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Like, when you have a machine, you know, like that behind you.
It's a different.
You know,
they want something younger.
But is it, or don't you think it's the kids that are rebelling? Like, no one's thinking about that part. What if it's the kids don't want it? What if these kids, there's a new breed of kids sitting in their garage, in their bathroom, writing great songs, focusing on the possibilities
why
of,
would they
you
want,
know,
why would they want Glenn Stefani?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're teenagers and they want their own thing.
Yeah.
That's what
So
it should be.
that's
it
what
shouldn't
we
be.
should be focusing on.
Yeah.
And that is why I do these episodes. I'm talking to those kids. You guys that are sitting right now, geeking out, trying to figure out how to get a good vocal tone or a good snare sound. I'm talking to you. You know, like, they
don't want to listen.
Yeah, they do. There's many young kids that are completely smart, coming from this whole other breed of music that is listening to Hendrix on their own.
But
you
they're
know?
not interested in listening to older people, is my point.
I believe they are, because that's the records that they're listening to. They're listening to you. There's a kid.
Listen, young kids.
There's tons
don't
of
listen
kids
to me.
listening to
I
Sex
don't want
Pistols
you
right
listening
now.
to me. I hate you. Go to hell.
That's a little harsh.
Calm down.
Did you just say Jor-El?
No, you're going to hell.
Oh, you're like, what does Superman have to do with it?
Who's Jor-El?
All right, he's from Superman. Isn't Jor-El Superman's dad? Yeah, come on. Get with the times.
Sorry.
Old man.
I know.
All right,
Let's play some old man music.
Yeah, let's play some old man that no one wants to listen to,
Yeah.
you know.
We're forcing
at all.
them to listen.
Yeah.
If they're listening to radio.
All right, so we're going to do a lounge, true blood version of Communication.
Jonesy's
Breakdown.
Jukebox, Cal West, Linda Perry. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that's my brother John Perry on acoustic guitar. I'm going to be down here. Hey, girl, stop what you're doing. Hey, girl, you drive me to ruin. I don't know what it is that I like about you. Whoa, Won't you let me hold you in your loving charms, babe? Communication breakdown is always the same. I'm having a nervous breakdown, drive me insane. You drive me insane, babe. Hey, girl, I got something I think you ought to know. Hey, babe, I want to tell you that I love you so. I want to hold you in my arms, yeah. I'm never gonna let you go, 'cause I like your charms, babe. Communication breakdown, always the same. I'm having a nervous breakdown, it's driving me insane, yeah. Keep that solo going. Communication breakdown is always the same. I'm having a nervous breakdown, you drive me insane, yeah. Oh. Communication breakdown, oh yeah. Communication breakdown. Communication breakdown. Oh, communication breakdown, babe.